Good morning. We're going to be painting some of these beautiful flowers today. I'm calling them 3-dot flowers, and it's a total inspiration taken from a fellow YouTube creator called Creations Cee Cee. She doesn't call it the 3-dot method, but if you just look up Creations Cee Cee, you will find lots of incredibly beautiful things that she does. And so this is an example of what I painted in class for my students. And I'm going to paint a slightly different version of this one here. I'm going to chat firstly about the stuff that I've got prepared. I'm just going to put that aside for a second. I'm going to talk about my colors, and I'm just going to zoom out so that you can see my not more of me, but more there, the stuff I've got prepared. So the stuff that I've got prepared is, this is a Tombow marker. It's a water-soluble marker. But I'm going to use that for our warm-up exercise this morning. I love to warm up with a continuous line drawing. I've got some cheap watercolor pencils, and that will be really lovely for some just a little bit of sandpaper and watercolor pencil to put a little bit of texture somewhere your painting might need it. And then I've got some quality watercolor pencils for putting in some line work in the background. So the line work in the background might look like that. I've done that with a purple pencil and a green pencil. And I was just, again, adding little bits of detail in the background. This painting also had some masking fluid, and thus those white marks there. But because this is live and I don't want to have to wait for the masking fluid to dry, I'm not going to be using white masking fluid to preserve those whites today. So that's that. I've also got a white marker. The brand is Artistro, and it's one of those paint pens, and I'm using that to ready in case I'd need some white at the end. Hey, Julie, thanks for joining me. The other thing that I'm a little bit in love with, and it's got nothing to do with watercolor, but I am loving the gold that it does on the painting here. I'll just hold that up a little bit. If you can see those gold marks there, they were like gold lines. I used this PBO marker, and you can buy it at Officeworks. And I really love this brand PBO. Everything in PBO is beautiful quality. And it's basically a gold, comes out as a gold line, but you can do anything with it. One of my students bought one and was using it to do some fat gold lines, which was really beautiful. The colours that I'm going to be using, I've got Cascade Green, which is completely beautiful, but it's a mixed green. So I'm going to place it. I'll just bring my camera back down here so you can see that a little better. That's it. Oh, I'll just zoom, just refocus. There, lovely. Cascade Green is a mixed green. It sits inside the colour wheel. This is Cobalt Turquoise. I don't know if I'm going to use Cobalt Turquoise, but I've squeezed some out in case I'd like to. This is Cobalt Blue. This is the most enormous tube. It's a 60 mil. It's a Holbein Cobalt Blue. At the time that I bought it, I was using just Cobalt non-stop, so I bought this really big tube, and it's the most economical way to buy it, but it was a bit over the top at the time, but I still have it, so I really enjoy it. Quinacridone Magenta. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. I've just got some ready. Quinacridone Scarlet. So that's a beautiful, vibrant red. And then I've just squeezed out some Viridian because the green here is so beautiful and vibrant that I thought I'll have some Viridian on hand to brighten up the Cascade Green, just in case I feel that the Cascade Green is a little dark. So I've got all those colours ready. I'm just going to slide them off to talk about the rest of the stuff I've got going here. I've got a sketchbook, so you might recognise this from the video of wisteria leaves. And I did a continuous line drawing to warm up to the painting the wisteria leaves. And here again, you might also recognize this one. Oh, no, this one I haven't uploaded as yet. So again, this was an orange flower, not that I painted it in orange. But again, a continuous line drawing to loosen up. And that's the painting that I painted as a result of it. And yes, if you're wondering, sometimes the continuous line drawing turns out better than the actual painting, but that's okay. It's all a lovely journey. I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to continue to use my sketchbook. It's just a watercolor pad, basically. And I'm ready to, on this page, to start my continuous line drawing to warm up. The final thing I'm going to mention is my paper. Today I'm using Bao Hong. It's a quarter sheet, and I've put it on this angle to change it up from this one. So this one was landscape orientation, and for today's video I'm going to do it in a portrait orientation. I like the idea of just changing it up a little bit. So please feel free to ask me about any of those supplies or any questions you have at all about anything that I'm going to be doing. The flower is a 3-dot flower, and I'm going to show you that method. It's incredibly easy. But what I'm going to do is I've been out into, I'll just move them a little bit into screen there. I'm going to pick off one of these geraniums. Look how glorious they are. It's a little bit dark because my lighting is quite low for the table. Anyway, I've got a little flower there. I'm going to zoom in a little more so you can see the flower and what I'm about to do, because I'm going to do a continuous line drawing. Just takes me a second to zoom in, and then the camera works out how to focus. There. Okay, that's better. Hopefully you can see that flower. I'm going to put that there. Oh, I should probably just stick it onto the page. I hadn't thought about that before. I've got a Tombow marker. So this is a water-soluble marker, and I love water-soluble markers because they are capable of providing you with instant texture. A little bit of a spritz with water and you get instant texture. What I'm going to do is a continuous line drawing. So there are 2 basic rules of continuous line drawings, and basically, so forgive me if I stop talking as I'm drawing. I have trouble multitasking. The first rule is once you've taken your pen off the page, that's it. Your drawing is done. And the other rule is that you don't take your pen off the page until you're done. I'm totally aware that I've just said the same thing. It means that you constantly go over lines because you can't take your pen off, and that's it. I'm done. That's a continuous line drawing. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of I have this enormous spray bottle because I constantly use it. Just tiny spritzing creates instant texture, and I find it gets me quite engaged in the creative process. I'm just moving that painting so it's out of my way. And I've got rather a smallish quill, and I'm just going to start by using some water, and it makes that ink flow. I was using a black Tombow today. They come in a huge range of colours. They're really they're quite a beautiful quality marker. You could do this with watercolour markers. You could do it with cheap markers. The only issue with cheap markers is going to be that it'd be dye-based, and once it's dye-based, I'm just getting some red, quinacridone red. Once it's dye-based, it will fade later. Someone might correct me on whether or not, I'm just going to grab some Cascade Green. Someone might want to correct me about Tombows and whether or not they are also dye-based. I don't mind if you correct me. A little bit of Cascade Green. They are, at the moment, the 2 colours I'm planning on using. The red mixes immediately with my black marker, so that's why it's looking quite greyish over there. The green is quite beautiful. I'm dipping into my turquoise. Yeah, the turquoise kind of doesn't mind that the black is mixed with it, whereas the red goes quite a greyish red very quickly. Okay, a little bit more water, and that will do for getting the creative juices flowing. So I'm going to dump that brush, I'll just zoom out so you can see my palette and my page, and not more of me, more of that. Yes, right. So that's all that's served its purpose. Now I'm going to keep a little flower handy because I'll refer to that later. I'll let my continuous line drawing dry. Even my warm-ups look good. Thank you, Julie. That's so lovely. Okay, I've got a sheet of Baohong. This is my favorite watercolor paper at the moment. It's a touch cheaper than Arches, and it comes in quarter sheet, half sheet, and I really love that that ratio. It's a little different to the A3. Moving stuff out of the way so that I can tape my paper down. I'm planning on using lots of water, so that means that I'm going to tape my paper down. I do half on, half off. Oopsie. And I always run my fingers over the tape. I want really good contact between the tape and my page, because then I'll get a beautiful frame on it. And it's amazing how interesting frames are at the end of a painting to give it that completed look. And again, I'm going to run my fingers over the masking tape. I really want that contact, and especially in the corner there. I'm going to give the corners an extra little scratch attach with my fingernail, because I do find that that's where the paint will often creep into those corners there. So I'm going to show you the 3-dot flower method. I'm going to demonstrate it straight onto my paper. I was going to do it on my sketchbook, but my sketchbook's wet. I forgot about that. Oh, I know, I'll bring it back and I'll demonstrate it over here. So you can see my palette, and I've got, this is quinacridone red. So I'm going to grab some quinacridone red, and I'm using this brush because it's got this incredibly beautiful point. And the 3-dot flower method is called so because you do 3 dots. I'm going to use 2 brushes because that will make me a little faster. And you bring the red out. That's the method, 3 dots. And then you just use water to drag out the paint. And that's really hard to do it on that angle there. I'll just zoom in again so you can see that flower there. I'll just move it so you can see it. That will help, won't it? There. Zoom in a little further. There. So 3 dots of paint, and then you add water just to spread the water out, and they become just like delicate little petals, and take such good advantage of the watercolor method. Okay, back to my big paper. So I was thinking today, that way. I'll zoom in a tiny bit or down a tiny bit. That's focused. Excellent. I was thinking that I would put in 5 flowers. 5 flowers is a lovely odd number. So I was thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, yeah, I like that. I'm going to come in like that. Each one will automatically, without any effort, each one will be a little different. That's my water brush, and I'm just going to set that down there. I am not sure that I am loving the red. My default color is quinacridone magenta, and that's why I squeezed it out. I'm going to go back to the magenta. I just find magenta is quite magical. Okay, so I've got loaded up with magenta, and I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3 dots, and I'm going to complete each one as I go. Loaded with water, 1 petal, 2 petals, and 3 petals. I will add more petals once that's dry, so you'll see the method on the second layer. Hey, Jasmine, how are you? One there, and I'm going to put one here. 1, 2, 3, and a brush loaded with water, and I'm just swiping outwards from the dot, and load with more paint. 1, 2, and now I might go a little bit above 1, or a bit more paint on this one. 1, 2, 3, and just water. And 1, 2, I'm just flicking that water out. It automatically, gives you a petal shape. The colours, Jasmine. I was going to use some quinacridone scarlet, but I did my little continuous line drawing, my introductory sketch, and I just don't love quinacridone scarlet, so I'm defaulting back to the magenta that I absolutely love, and really it's a pink. Right, so I've done 1, 2, 3, and I'm ready for another flower, so I'm going up the page, and then I might put in a big one up here, so I'll do 3 big dots. And again, water to come out. And all I'm doing is letting the tip of the brush touch the dot, and then dragging it out with a big flick. Back to my pink. Hey, Viv. Yes, totally remind me of French pennies. And in fact, you can use this method. I'll attempt it on this one here to try and make it look a little bit more like a frangipani. So if you drag the pigment one way only, you get the, I'll wash my brush and only put water on that side. You can get the pigment going in one direction, which is a little bit like one direction, little bit like a frangipani, because the frangipani has that fold on one side. And I'll do this one with just one direction. Wash it off and just put touch of water on the other side here. So I need them to dry before I start putting in the next layer. So I thought, rather than get out my hair dryer, actually it's a heat gun, but anyway, but I thought rather than do that, I might go straight into my gold. So if you don't have one of these PBO, they're called Cern Relief. It's actually a product designed for glass. And I'm going to bring back my sketchbook and start it off over here, and just check that the line is going to flow, because this is a new one, but also because I want to, sometimes it does a little lump. That's what it did there. It's a little lump. Oh yeah, okay, that's flowing. Oh, it's got a really big lump. It's about to drop on my painting, so I'm just going to lower that down. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see what I'm doing. It keeps about, it's just coming out with the pressure. Tiniest bit of pressure brings the gold pouring out. So I'm going to put a gold shape around some of my petals. And I'm hoping when I get the, I was going to say hairdryer again, but I'm hoping when I get my heat gun out, it might dry these gold ones at the same time. I'm doing broken lines because I love a good broken line. And I'm imagining an extra petal will go there, so that's why I'm putting in some imaginary spaces there for the petal. And I totally forgot to do it over here. So never mind. I think that I'll make that it for the gold at the moment. Clean the tip and put the lid straight on. I really love that product at the moment. Now I'm going to dry it because I cannot paint over that gold. I don't actually know what the gold is made from, but it's definitely not something that I want on my beautiful watercolor brushes. So I'm just going to dry for a moment so that I can glaze on the next couple of petals. Wow, oh yeah, I was thinking I hadn't done 5, but I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Love a good odd number. Now, is it drying the gold? Nope. Alrighty. I am ready for the next layer. The gold actually really only takes about 5 minutes, but this is YouTube Live, so I'm definitely not going to go off, have a cup of tea and come back in 5 minutes. Is the gold dry? Oh, yes. Okay. It totally dries with, oh, that bit's not. I'm just going to put tissue on. That will pick up any lumpy bits that didn't dry. That's better. And they'll dry faster that way. You can do that to masking fluid too. Now I'm going to put in 2 more petals. 5 petals is the really common number of petals. The little geranium I've got here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 less. it's collapsing as I'm counting the petals. So there's 2 petals that have fallen off. So ignore that counting of the geranium. That's not going to help you at all. I'm going to go back to the full view so you can see my palette. That is quinacridone red, and that is the quinacridone magenta that I've been using. So I think I will just mix it up a little, incorporate that, some of that red, mix it into my magenta. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to glaze over 2 more petals. So I'm only doing 2 dots. I think I'll make 1 there and 1 there. Go back to the water brush. 1. And because my bottom layer is dry, it's glazing beautifully over it. And I'll start to get beautiful intersections where one petal goes over the other. Okay, back to my pink color. And definitely put a petal out that way and maybe a petal out this way. Water brush. That way. And just move my hand over there. And I'm trying each time to create little intersections from one petal to another. It's a really lovely watercolor method. 1 and 2. think I'll try and put down a bit of extra paint there just to make it go a little further. Water brush. One. I'm just going in two directions most of the time. That didn't spread well enough. But the bottom layer is dry enough that it's not moving, so that's nice. Okay, the big one, I'm going to get more paint, more red, more magenta. It's thicker, so it won't move quite as fast. So a touch more water to make it move faster. Bigger dot for this one, big dot here and big dot there. I created that shape up there, so that's going to be quite nice to water into. And there and there, that's better. That's lovely for the big one. Just water to come up and go inside that gold. And last one. Definitely one over here, and I created a section there, so definitely one over there. I was trying to go for bigger dots to make them have a little more color on them. I'm going one direction, the other direction, and then trying to fill them in just with water. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to put in some lovely background color now. I might leave this magenta mix and red mix on my palette and come in with some Cascade Green. This is some of the, this one, Cobalt Turquoise Light. So I'm going to leave that over there. Won't matter. The Cascade Green, and also it doesn't matter that I'm mixing colours because I'm about to mix stuff up on the page. That's Cascade Green straight from the tube. A little bit of water will turn it into a nice puddle. And we'll move that flower a little bit. Oh, it's very purple. That red, whew, that's the red off my brush that's causing that really deep purple. It looks a lot like Moonglow. I'll put a green over here. I'm going to leave that purple half intact because it might be lovely to drop in a little bit in my background. Okay, I'm ready, and I'm going to use my spritzing bottle to just create some watery background sections. If you use a spritzing bottle, it's quite abstract what it will do. I like that. I like anything that helps me make abstract marks. Right, here's my green, and I'm going to start to drop in some green. I might go around this petal a little bit and put in a mark. And then I'll do, say, the green comes up to, that petal goes there, that petal goes there. So I'm going to put in a green mark here. Switch straight back to my water brush. I don't want a hard line on that side of the green or that side. There. And I really love what the water has done immediately. So because I just sprayed it, the colour just mixes in a beautiful way into the softness there. I might take advantage of this purpley colour, drop in a little bit here and there. This is watercolour at its best. I love when watercolour just does some of the work for me. This green is looking a little bit too defined for my liking. So what I'm going to do is take this edge off to nothing. So I'm going to pick this colour up and this wateriness, and I'm just removing some of it so that I can have this colour go off over the petal and be nearly nothing. That's great. That's a nice soft area there. And then I'm creating soft areas. So I'm going to do that again. Oh, I dripped water in there. That was not my intention. So I might soften this up a little bit too. And again, knock it back so that I can get a soft edge. And so I might do it again here. Lots of softness this way, bit soft there. It's just water on my brush at the moment. I'm constantly loading, cleaning, and then softening. Soften, soften, clean it off, and then I'm going to drag it out because all it will do is continue to move in. So that's why I'm dragging out. Dragging. Okay. While it's lovely and wet, I'm going to also add a little bit of texture. So I've got a little bit of sandpaper and a watercolor pencil. So these are watercolor pencils I bought for my kids. So back then it's got TC. Tom, if you're watching, these were your watercolor pencils when you were a kid. You remember when you had no labels and you just put a bit of tape around it and wrote your kid's name, initials on it? Or am I so old that everyone else had lovely labels? A little bit of blue, put it in, just provides this delicate texture. I also have a green. Oh, I've got yellow. These are the cheap pencils. I thought these would be great for the for adding texture because they're old and were cheaper than the other pencils that I've got these days. Oh, I'm going to create a green on the page. I used blue and I'm putting the yellow over the top. That's nice. I think I'll put more. As soon as I'm enjoying something, I'm going to add more. The risk, though, is that you just do it everywhere and instead of looking good, it looks odd. I'm going to put it there. Put a bit of yellow. I don't really want it on the flower. While it's wet, the shaved, or it's kind of shaved, isn't it? The tiny little dust particles of the watercolor pencils just attach. It's really quite lovely. If they don't attach, like there's a bit over here that's not really attaching, you can spritz it. But you can see it's not quite exactly the same. Okay, into here, I'm going to switch greens because the Cascade green really is a muted green. It's a very much a, it's kind of almost like a grey green. So I want to introduce some vibrance. And for that, I'm going to go to Viridian. And put some Viridian over these lovely wet sections. And that will provide vibrance. Viridian is beautifully vibrant. I'm just going to tip my board and it's completely full of stuff. So I'm just going to get rid of all the stuff off it. I've even got an eraser there. And I want that green to shift. So, oh, it's so intense, the green. And it's not shifting. So I'm going to put it back down, shoving all that stuff out of the way there. And I think I went a bit over the top. So I'm going to counteract it with some pink. A little more pink. And when I say pink, I mean magenta. That's better. I really like this vibrant green creeping in there. I'm going to tip it again. Tip it this way this time and just get that green. I'm going to give it a big bang. That's better. All right, much better. I've forced it to come this way. It is slowly creeping in on my petal, but I'm going to leave that one. I don't mind that at all. Okay, so I've put down lots of colour around here. I think I'll continue up this way. So I did spritz it all, but I really need to come back in and spritz more. because while I was finishing off this section, it's very much dried up there. Actually, having said that, perhaps up there, the reason why this green trickled in is because I didn't protect the flower from the spritz. I love what the spritz does, but this time I think I will spritz and protect the flower. That might be better, and then I won't have something creeping into the flower that I don't want creeping in. I am going to just leave this section for a moment. I'm not quite sure what I want to put in there. So what I'm going to do is move up this way. So I've got this beautiful green coming up in here. I think I will continue that. That is Viridian, but I really need to tone it down. So I'll add a little of the Viridian into my Cascade Green and see what that does up here. I'm using the gold to block my colour. This is a brush loaded with the mixture on my palette. So it's a little bit of quinacridone red, a little bit of quinacridone magenta, and some of the green is starting to mix into it too. Oh, some of the green is just creeping through my little spaces in my gold. That is exciting. Happy accidents are the ones that you love. Mistakes are the ones that you don't love. And of course, you get both all the time. There's just no guarantees about what you're going to get, especially with watercolor. And that's why it is such a beautifully creative medium to work in. I'm going to put something in the middle of the flowers later, but I'll wait till I've finished painting them. I think I'll define the side of this just a tiny bit. Not too, oops, too much water. Just a hint of green I want. Just a hint. Just constantly cleaning the green off. That's better. Okay. Now I'm just going to use water to finish defining that flower there. Julie says, oh, I make lots of unhappy accidents. Yeah, they're the ones that you call learning. I shouldn't have, they are so the lessons, and sometimes that's the stuff that you totally remember. This screen has crept in too far. Okay, I need to control that. I think I'm going to end up with a green, a green petal. It's just continued to move and move and move. Being a stainer, that green will be impossible to move completely. I'm going to get a clean brush. This is a clean, dry brush. And mop up the excess. Right. Great. So I've got the green helping guide your eye up. So I'm going to continue a bit of that. I've got the flowers guiding you up, and I want this one to be the focal point. I'm hoping that will happen. And so I've got the green coming here, 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 here. So I'm going to make it appear there, or maybe I'll skip a bit and make it go there. Is it a bit too obvious if I put it in there as well as there? What I'm going to do while I make that decision, and I'd love anyone to weigh in on that decision, what I'm going to do is go up to here. And that will help me come back and make the decision about what to do. So this is my very, very watery mix of the two reds with the tiny bit of Cascade Green mixed in. Okay, and then I'm just going to soften it off. Soften, soften, soften. Oh, there's a little bit of green. That's nice. A little bit. Soften, soften. Oh, yeah, I think I like that, jumping up there. Maybe that was needed. Maybe what should go in the middle then is I should go in for some intense pink. Here's my magenta. Grab a lump, mix it in so that it becomes really wonderful to paint with. And I think I'll put in some intense pink. And then perhaps it's like a surprise rather than what your eye would be expecting. Watery green this time. So I'm reversing the colour combination. Rather than adding the reds to the green, I'm adding the green to the reds. All right. Now it's time to soften. I'm just going to add little bits of water there so they soften off. Bring this one in with water, just ever so softly. Just help define the flower. And again, just water. Just water. The green really, really travels. Pink. I'll let that pink come into the flower. Maybe come up like that. I think this is where, having done an introductory loosening up exercise, for anyone who missed it, I began with a continuous line drawing, and I think that really helps me loosen up when it comes time to add more colour. All right, I've got green, 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 green. I definitely want to bring in some green here, so I could put it here or I could put it there. Come in with my green. Maybe this is when the turquoise comes in. Or cobalt. I squeezed out this beautiful amount of cobalt. I'm going to put cobalt there as a little surprise of colour. Bit of blue, bit of blue, bit of blue. Love that idea that you've added it here and there, and you come back and you add more little bits of blue. Oh, thank you, Viv. I really appreciate that. That's what I want. I really want the focal point to be different to all the others. So I made it a little larger than the others, and I made it, I'm going to get some Cascade green, tiny bit. And I made it, and yeah, I've changed the color combo, a little bit of green into, that's Cascade green I'm dropping into there. Once it's on my brush, I feel this intense urge to add it elsewhere. So because I sprayed, little tiny tendrils of colour are just coming in over there. That is just beautiful. I'm going to bring the blue over there ever so delicately, really, really pale. Just bring that down. Okay. So I've got all this texture here with the pencils, and I do like the idea of bringing up some texture up there. So I'm going to go back to my trusty little piece of sandpaper. And what will red look like if I put red in there? There's heaps of water there. So it's just sitting on the top and it kind of floated. Oh, that's nice. I liked that. It's kind of coming up. Oh, I'll do it again up there. Coming up. Oh, go off the page, definitely. And into this one and go off the page. Hopefully that's introducing some marks that will help bring it up. And having put that colour there, I like to add it down here. Oh, and again, I'll go off the page. Okay. I've got a big lost area here. And although I love a lost edge, I feel like it just does need a little bit of definition. So do I'm at this point now, I'm going to tap the excess there. Do I I'm undecided about what to put into that spot. It's definitely feeling a bit lost. I don't want to include another flower. I've got a lovely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lovely odd number of flowers. So I don't want to draw too much focus there. So that's the issue I've got going. So I think what I'll do is finish the internals of the flower. So the actual geranium has little dark lines in the center. But what I did on my first version was come in with little gold dots, and I thought that looked really lovely because it gives more sense to the gold that I put on the outside. Right, decision made. Go back to my beautiful gold. I shoved it up there. Go back to my beautiful gold. Thank you to everyone who's given me a like. I really appreciate it. It helps other people think that it's worth doing. So I'm going to put in a series of dots. There aren't actual little dots in there, but there are little stamen. So I think I'll put in little dots and suggest little stamen as well. So little dots and little lines. Little dots. There's a few little things in there and some little lines. Little dots. It's wet just there. So it just resists if you put it on a wet surface. I guessed that. That's cool. So I'll put in some little lines over there. And this one, dots and lines. Very easy to overdo that. Okay, so I've got this lost section here, and I just am really undecided. I'm not loving the yellow. I'm a bit sorry I introduced yellow. That's because I got a yellow flower out, and generally what I try to do is pick colours, and then if I'm going to add some pencil marks, then I try and include pencils that are the same colours. But for some reason I picked up a yellow. Very against my better judgment. I'm going to go back to my watercolour pencils, and I've got a beautiful Magnus. This is Faber-Castell Magnus, Albert Dürer, and I've got a Inktense. This is called Cherry. I chose that because at the time I was imagining I was going with quinacridone scarlet. So I'm just going to put some marks in with Cherry, and it's not overly red, so that's all right. And maybe what I'll do is the plant is full of these little buds, so maybe I'll put in some little bud shapes. It's very wet, so the Inktense is kind of pushing the paint around, that's all. And I've got one going that way, so I'll make one go this way. And that is what's going to resolve it up here. So I'm going to switch to the blue. This is the Magnus. It's really fat, so beautiful to use. And I will include another bud shape like this. Because it's so wet, it's quite hard to draw on. And give it a stem. That one would have a stem going down like that. They're actually really bunched in together, these buds. Jump one together. Jump, I said. Gather. So then in here, I'm going to draw it lightly. So I'm just going to get some more. And in fact, they're just all super bunched up together. So I wonder if I put little bud shapes in there, but maybe I'll do it into the water, and I'll do it lightly in case I don't like it. Mind you, I find watercolour pencil really hard to get rid of. And then I'll put another little one in there. Oh, that's lovely just there. The pressing lightly is allowing the watercolor pencil to be softened. So I'll just press lightly over here as well, put in another blue one. No, it's not wet enough. Anyway, perhaps another blue one here. Oh yeah, go over the yellow, that's great. It's grey. It's mixed together and it's gone grey. And the blue is a pure blue, so that means that yellow is quite orangey. Right, I think that has helped in that space. And I think some more line work will help as well. And so I'm going to do that in the form of some geranium leaves. I'm just leaning over to get a geranium leaf. I'm going to do it with the red. I'm going to be bold and put in a line drawing. Goes behind that. I said I'm going to be bold, and now I'm pressing really, really lightly. And then I'm going to skip a bit and come up here. And then it's got all these beautiful veins. Maybe I'll go to this one for the veins. I like the idea of some lines pointing upwards. So I'll very delicately put those veins in, very delicately here. But I do like the idea that I get some direction going up there. So perhaps I'll put in more veins, and perhaps that will push your eye upwards, perhaps. Anyway, you can only try these things. That's about all you can do. Now I just need to fix this bit here. I don't mind what I've done, but I'm going to, because it's a leaf, I'll go to the green. I know that's probably a bit predictable, but I don't mind. A bit of predictability. Sometimes that's not bad. Bit of green. I'm just going to negatively paint the nasturtium leaf with pale. Oops, I just dripped water on instead of painting it. And over here, I'm just wetting that. Make the green go to nothing. I'm also painting over the yellow pencil that I shaved on. I wonder what the correct term is. Is it kind of shaving? Kind of. Right, watering just the outside. And I think I need to make it a touch bolder. That's great. Okay, I'm going to go in for magenta. The reason why I'm going in for magenta is I want more magenta in the painting. So that's the reason behind picking magenta at this stage. I'm negatively painting the buds. This is so often the place at which I overdo a painting. I love the idea of finishing a painting in one go. And so I do that all the time. So this YouTube live is perfect for me because it's going to force me to just finish it off. The downside to finishing a painting in one go is that I can totally overdo it. And sometimes that's not great. So the leaf is drawing a fair bit of focus, so I want the focus back up here again. I'm going to go back into magenta, pure magenta, and I'm going to make some of these petals much heavier. Give them some beautiful intensity. Water, water. So I've stroked on some magenta and then I'm washing it out with pure water. Right, so now's the moment of truth. Have I finished? I've got some beautiful darks here, so it does draw your eye in very nicely. I think I need these to be darker. I'm going to go in for some pure Cascade Green and intensify up here, intensify here. That was cobalt. think I'll go back to cobalt, pure cobalt. I just mix it a tiny little bit to make it malleable, to make it capable of being able to paint with easily. Just bringing in more blue there. That blue, oh, I'm going to drop some of that blue. Pure cobalt, mix it round, drop it in there. Pure cobalt. I think this has filled the space nicely, but it would have been better integrated more. I think it's kind of out on the periphery way too much. So big, bold move, just to interrupt it. Yeah, it was really drawing focus, but I wasn't enjoying it. I'm attempting to get rid of the Inktense pencil. Unlikely that will be there, so I'm just going to go over it with a darker colour. Yeah, okay, that's better. Knock back the geranium leaf shape. And a few pencil marks, and I'm close to being finished. The flowers actually do have long stems, so maybe I'll put in some stem-like marks. And then they have some little dead ones, so I'll put in some little dead flower heads. That's a suggestion there. Maybe a few dead ones over this nasturtium leaf. I quite like this these little buds. Just enhance them a little more. That's nice. Oh, so close to being finished. It is, in fact, way looser than this one. Way looser. This one I did in class. There is a video of it, of sorts. And I really liked the red in the background and then the green, and then I did pops of blue. On this one, I haven't done near as much gold. I could come in with more gold, but that definitely needs to happen when it's really dry. So it's possible I'll do that later. It's hard to tell that there's a fifth one. And that's because I missed it. There. Missed putting in gold tips in this one. Put in some little stamen gold dots. I'm going to add some gold dots. There's a little bit of media coming out. Just keep squeezing for a second. Oh, big dollop came out. It only requires the smallest squeeze, and then it just comes out without any effort. And then I'm going to wipe the nib and put the lid on as it continues to flow out, because it's so because it only requires the smallest amount of pressure on the tube. Okay, I think I've created a pink that leads up to there. That's quite good. So this is the point in the painting when you're thinking, okay, have I got enough darks? Hopefully some of you have been painting along at the same time. Have I got enough darks? Because we know that watercolour dries lighter than when it's dry. Oh, I'm going to put in a few more of those lovely bud-shaped things. Bud. The buds really do sit beautifully next to each other. They've come out green, which is rather lovely. That's nice. And perhaps I'll increase a bit of interest down here with this. This is the Inktense pencil. Come up to those buds, eh? Bud shapes. Go over that line, come back to my blue, re-establish the blue on top. You could go and go at this point, but it's really, I have achieved a greater looseness than this one. But I really loved this one because of its brightness. But this one's got more drama. And I think that's because I've got more variation in tone. I've got more lights and more darks. Actually, not more lights. This has got masses of lights and not very many darks. It's only got little tiny pops of dark, actually. This one really has some beautiful darks. So I'm going to take my own advice. If I like the intensity of those darks, then I want that to remain. I'm going to stick my brush straight into magenta, and it's just a wet brush, and I'm going to intensify where the magenta is. I'm going to intensify it because I know it will dry lighter. And where that beautiful blue is, I'm going to do the same thing. Grab some cobalt. I've really fallen back in love with cobalt. I've been just using masses of ultramarine for ages. Cobalt here. Cobalt here. Pure cobalt. I just want to intensify all the blues. So it's pure color I'm using now. Intensify the cobalt, trying not to make new marks, but just marks that intensify what is already there. I did make new marks because I was, I can't help it. Oh, thank you, Viv. Thank you, Julie. I think I'm nearly done. I think I'm going to leave this bit here and not improve it because I don't think it will be improved. I do think I've gotten the pink to come up and lead up to the focal point. I've got flowers that lead up to the focal point, and then hopefully some background negative painting that leads up to the PowerPoint. So I've really enjoyed this one. And I really appreciate you dropping in. Julie, Jasmine, Viv, that's really cool that you dropped in and made some comments. And to the other people who are there and just watching, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And I'll do it again in a couple of weeks' time. And I will do it at the same time in 2 weeks because this is done... This has been great for me to force me to sit down, do a whole painting, and thanks, Jasmine. Yeah, me too. It's forced me to redo an idea that I had, and I really like that because now I'm cementing in my mind a technique that is quite easy to do and just is lovely to play with. So if you particularly loved this one began with masking fluid and the 3-dot method, and it actually only has 4 flowers and it goes up, down, down and up, whereas in this one I was going up, up, up and down because I changed my paper on the side. Oh, thanks, Jasmine. Yeah, I'm going to go with 9:15 because apologies for some of the advertising I did was 9:30. So apologies to anyone who came in at 9:30 rather than 9:15 because I forgot. But all you missed, if you missed the first little bit, was my warm up, and it was using a Tombow marker to do a continuous line drawing. So next week I will do the same thing. I'll use my sketchbook, I'll do a continuous line drawing, and I'll think of some other media to involve next week. I am rather in love with the bit of sandpaper and pencils. If you've got another media that you would like me to play with, then please suggest it. I've been playing a lot with Brusho, but geez, that stuff is messy. Like it just gets absolutely everywhere. So it won't be Brusho that I play with. Also, I feel like I can breathe it in. The other thing I am in love with playing with at the moment is collage, but that's a little difficult to do as a YouTube live too because you've got all that gluing and that takes time, and I like to put heavy books on it. I'm just trying to think of another media that we could add to the painting. And oh, I know, I've just made some videos on landscapes using a piece of string. Jasmine was actually at my last I was going to say live, but in real life tutorial where we used a piece of string to create a landscape. I love that. Maybe I'll do a landscape. If you've got any thoughts on that, feel free to make a comment on this video, because then I'll know where you're heading, because lots of you follow me on other platforms as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you dropping in, and I really hope that you'll paint it, and I so appreciate your support. Oh, Jasmine says she liked the string and the glad wrap. All right, let's do it then. Great. I'll do that next week. String and glad wrap, and we'll do a landscape. It's really quite lovely. And look, Julie says landscape set too. That's fantastic. I hope Viv loves the idea of it as well. Viv's totally into card making, so you could maybe do some little ones. We'll see. And thank you guys. Thank you so much. See you next week. No, 2 weeks time. I'll schedule it. And if you're subscribed and get notifications, it will notify you. Thanks, guys. Bye.